Manchester United have officially bid their second offer to Brentford for Bryan Mbeumo in a deal worth in the region of £60 million. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you are subscribing. Share this stream. Let's do this. Back to the Done Deal show on the Football Terrace. I couldn't get my words out at the beginning. Very exciting breaking news surrounding my club, Manchester United. And that comes from the very knowledgeable Ben Jacobs. And that is that Manchester United have submitted their second official bid to Brentford for the signing of Bryan Mbeumo, for a combined total of £60 million. United, no new bids actually for the past 2 and a bit weeks. A lot of negotiations and a lot of conversations through intermediaries have taken place in that time. We've seen hijack stories from Tottenham. We've seen talk of United pulling away. There's never been any confirmed news surrounding that at all. United always remained relaxed. But the talks in the last few days are reported to have accelerated very, very quickly indeed. And Manchester United have now submitted that bid. Now, what Ben Jacobs has said is that talks over the next few days are going to continue. Now, that would tell you that there are probably some I's and probably some C's, some I's and some T's to get crossed, as it were. But talks have accelerated in the past few days and will continue into this week. This marries up very much with the news that we were all told about 5 days ago, that there was an expectation that this deal would complete within a 6 to 7 day period, a 6 to 7 day period from that point. So it marries up very, very well with it indeed. We're going to take some calls from you guys. I want to get your views. I want to get your opinions on this. There is some other breaking news this evening in relation to Manchester United with the potential exit from the football club of Casemiro to Al Nazir. We're also a big conversation. I knew that Carl B would be first in with this. Chelsea and Man United are weighing up a possible scenario wherein Nkunku joins United and Alejandro Garnacho goes in the opposite direction. A lot of people panicking about a swap deal. I don't personally think a swap deal would happen, but that deal is on the cards. It's the player that United have been linked to quite a bit. We will touch on those stories. We're going to share the link in the live chat now for everyone to get ready so they can phone in and so they can have their say, because I'm really intrigued to hear from you all tonight. And we were saying actually just right at the end of the Top 6 show just a couple of hours ago that maybe only an hour ago, that we kind of need some news to break. We need a club to accelerate with something and move a deal on or move a deal forward. I'm glad it's Man United that are seemingly doing that with Mbeumo, because look, we've said it before, we'll say it again. This is potentially a world-class signing for the club. Not that the player is world-class. I want to be very specific here before the cognitive dissonance kicks in and the anger. A world-class signing for us in terms of taking us from mediocrity and obscurity in attack to a team that would have the ability to bang goals in versus anybody. It's a world-class upgrade. A brilliant player, but for the club, the distance that we will travel, it's phenomenal business. What also makes it brilliant is Arsenal, Newcastle, Tottenham, Champions League teams were all in for him and all wanted him. And it's us that he has chosen. It sends a message that there is still life in the old dog yet. So a world-class piece of business for a very, very talented player indeed. So I, for one, am excited. He will score goals. He'll create. He gives us what we need. I also think what's really important is when you weigh up the last 2 weeks. Spurs throwing their hat back in the ring, the media creating pressure, sort of a reaction from rivals, like, you know, we were going to fall away, we were going to collapse, we were in trouble, etc. And that no longer is the case. It's no longer the case that we were going to be scared into that. This was always a deal that we were in control of once the player picked Man United and gave us and said that we were his priority. There was no need 2 weeks ago at the stories of Thomas Frank becoming the Tottenham manager to panic. There was no need for us to lose our minds and to collapse and to sort of fall into anarchy. Bid now, get it done. Just pay them what they want. Let's give them £70 million base. Let's get it over the line. There was no need for Man United to do that. And I'm glad that we haven't. I've not praised everything that Ineos have done since they've arrived, but for me, not panicking in that situation was absolutely, fundamentally imperative. And we have to do that on more deals. We have to do that when it comes to selling players. We have to not panic. Sometimes the end result via not panicking will not be good. But in the longer term, I believe it will pay dividends after dividends after dividends. Terry, where has the news come from tonight? The news tonight, listen, it was a Jacobs cracker. That's what we got tonight, was a Jacobs cracker. Exclusive from him, still nothing from Ornstein, still nothing from Fabrizio. But I trust Ben Jacobs with this. He was ahead of the curve. He was ahead of the curve on this deal. He was talking about Mbeumo being attracted to the club. He spoke about the possibility of this happening ever before any other credible journalist was even connecting Man United. We might have got the United like him, but it's difficult. United like him, but they're behind everybody else. So, yeah, fair play to Ben Jacobs on this and getting this right. And look, I'm sitting here feeling really confident we'll now get this deal over the line. I'm sitting here feeling really confident that United will be able to get this over the line and then move on. We need some exits from the club. The Garnachos, the Rashfords. Of course, tonight, a big report coming from the Middle East that Casemiro's exit could be close. And I think that's imperative, because if we go back to the media briefings, to sign a midfielder, we needed Casemiro to leave or Mainu. We needed Casemiro to leave because I don't think we owe any money on him anymore. I think it's almost close to zero book value. So a transfer fee would be excellent. Plus, it's removing the 250 to 300k a week that he earns. That is imperative. For Mainu, it would all be pure profit. Now, none of us want to see Mainu leave. There's such a talent there. So Casemiro going could also be positive. So from my perspective, I'm really, really happy about this news coming through. Ginger Bish here says, about time the club needs to start focusing on sales, though. Pre-season will be here soon, and 2 signings going into pre-season is not enough. No, I agree. I would like 3 with a couple of exits, either almost happening or happening, as long as they're looking like they're a guaranteed thing and those players aren't in the dressing room infecting the beginning of the season. So for me, if we can get this done in the next few days to that here we go stage, that would suit me down to the absolute ground. You then move on. I would like us to focus on either the striker or goalkeeper after that. And I think that will all depend on where Arsenal are with Šeško and Gyökeres. We are clearly waiting to see what Arsenal decide to do. If they take Gyökeres, then I think it'll be full steam ahead. I think Man United will get... Sorry, if Arsenal takes Šeško, I think it'll be full steam ahead on Gyökeres and we'll get him. If they take Gyökeres, I think a little bit more work will need to be done. We'll have to start courting a few more players. So I think we then move on to that goalkeeper. We get that secured and over the line, and then maybe revisit the striker a week or 2 later once that's over with. But I agree with you, Ginger Bish, that is what we need to focus on doing now, is getting at least 3 new players in. Ensure that we're not going to be letting Sancho and Anthony, Rashford, Garnacho into this dressing room for pre-season. Maybe, we want to be at a point where, do you know what, guys? Take an extra week's holiday. Your deals are nearly done and over the line. That would be very good. Casemiro leaving as well would be absolutely gargantuan. Absolutely gargantuan for us as well. So, yeah, look, very, very excited about the prospect of that. A comment here from Harrison says, Terry, I can't wait for United to be ridiculed for paying 60 to 65 million by rivals, even though they didn't say anything about the rumors that Spurs were willing to pay 70 million. Well, of course, and look, rivals are going to be angry tonight. They're going to be annoyed tonight because of the quality of this business. Even United's own fans that hate on our own club for no reason. Let's say we do get this in the next few days sealed. Forget the official announcement, sealed and ready for pre-season. That's 2 top quality signings ready for pre-season at a time when we're struggling financially. It's pretty good going. Would I have liked it sooner to relieve a bit of stress? Yes. But whether we signed in Mbeumo today, tomorrow, or 2 weeks ago, it would have made no difference to the start of our season. And everyone goes, yeah, you can focus on other deals. We are focusing on other deals. We're focusing on exits. We're talking to goalies. We're talking to strikers. We're not just working on one deal at a time. Josh here says, Casemiro out, go and get Douglas Luiz, please. Well, Douglas Luiz is such an interesting potential deal because I do want someone, I would like a younger, more dynamic player, like someone like a Believer, but that isn't always plausible. That isn't always possible. Players like that are not always attainable for United financially. But I think someone like Douglas Luiz coming into this team at this particular juncture of our like cycle of this rebuild could be potentially brilliant for us. I think it has the potential to do that. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. So that is definitely a deal that I am not. I'm not against it, to say the least. Josh, is a really good suggestion. Imagine getting outbid by Spurs. Yeah, but this is, do you know one of the reasons why I didn't play the Spurs hijack down? And this is a lesson for all the people that think they're good at bantering. If you just want it from a banter perspective, well, when United get this over the line, Spurs ended up getting rejected twice in one summer by the same player. Ha, ha, ha. In fact, they got rejected twice for the same player whilst outbidding Manchester United. For me as a United fan, that is, if you just want to look at it from an entertainment perspective, that is far more entertaining, far funnier than trying to play down the stories that were coming back in for him. That's why I don't mind that. Whenever I hear a hijack about a player coming to my club, I think game on. Because now if we get him, the big L's on you. I can take being rejected. What I find funnier is the people that give it the big one and then end up walking away with the towel between their legs. I absolutely loved that. Absolutely loved it. I really, really did. Kenny here, one of our members, says, Terry, have you heard about the 6'6" goalkeeper Radic so-and-so? No, I haven't heard anything about that at all, Kenny. Not heard about that at all. Mbeumo and Cunha would be a game-changing signings already, ready to hit the ground running. Let's get this wrapped up. Kenneth, I agree with you. Excellent signings. This would be brilliant pieces of businesses. They improve the team hugely. There is no doubt about that whatsoever. I also want to get your thoughts on what Matt Law has said this evening about the potential of a Garnacho and Nkunku. I wouldn't call it a swap deal, as some are suggesting. I don't think it's a swap deal. It's about going in either direction. And even deals that often appear as swap deals on paper, they're often two completely separate transactions. And I do think that is really, really key in this. I'd love to get your thoughts and opinions on that. Hey, KG, hope that you are good. Hope you are well. United moving like the big club they are is what Most Wanted said. And that's what's key for me, Most Wanted. This is a big move in every single, no matter which way you slice it, it's a big move. Let's get some goals next season, especially against the top 6 to 8 teams. And do you know what, Bryan Mbeumo? This is what a lot of people sometimes underestimate when it comes to the footballing world, is they often underestimate how important goals are. They often underestimate how important and what scoring goals can do for you in terms of fans giving managers more time. If you think about that, the Liverpool game, we actually got a lot of praise after drawing, but imagine Maguire scores. The way we beat Man City. Imagine that Bruno chance right at the end goes in against Arsenal. Away against Spurs, should have scored more goals. Should have beaten City in the return derby at Old Trafford. You win those matches. For me, we win those games, all of them. with Cunha and Mbeumo in our team. No other changes, just those two players in the Man United squad at that time. I believe we win those games. One, that's 4 or 5 more wins that pushes us much higher up the table. Bit more bragging rights over rivals. Far less people would have turned on the manager. Absolutely imperative to get more goals in this team. I'd take Paulinho and Richard Ruiz in midfield. I don't know much about the second name you mentioned there. I agree that a striker and goalkeeper position should be the priority. Big up yourself, Tel. Yeah, look, I do think they are the priority. But, you know, me and Staffy had this conversation the other day, and he sees it a little differently to me. But I completely and utterly agree with him that improving our midfield is important for the team. Whether we can do that this summer to the level everybody wants, I think is a different conversation to be had. But from my point of view, from my perspective, I would love to improve on it. And like Paulinho, he's a little bit more like the Ugarte that we've already got. So I'm not sure if we'll do that. I do think we need better technicians on the ball, people that can control the midfield, got energy, got legs. That's why Believer is a standout example. I mean, it won't happen, but someone who's of the mold of a Frankie de Jong, I'd absolutely love that into our midfield more. We've already got Ugarte that can break up play. Mainu's pretty good at winning the ball back as an example. We have that already. Just more ball playing ability would be amazing in that midfield area. Josh here, 64 months as a member. So thank you very much, my friend. He says, rather get João Felix on loan instead of an injury-prone Nkunku. Goldbridge calls him the French Mason Mount. Yeah, I don't want Nkunku either. Like, I agree with what Goldbridge is saying. I don't want him either. I would want to move on from him. No doubt about that whatsoever. Absolutely agree. Fundamentally agree. Completely and utterly on side with that in every single which way. One sec. In every single which way, I agree. I do not want to see him come to the club. I don't like the deal. I don't like how it makes me feel. There's some quality in him when he's playing regularly, when he's fit. I'm not even worried. You know, he plays that kind of role, that the 210s. I think our system's more suited to him than Chelsea's. However, it's those injuries. If he wasn't injury prone, I wouldn't be dead set against it. For instance, if they gave us 30 million for Garnacho and we got the player and it didn't cost us any money, so player plus 30 million, if he wasn't injury prone, I wouldn't be against it. It's the injury prone nature that I don't like. With Cunha and Mbeumo on the way, is striker still as much of a priority or focused shift elsewhere, like a deeper line midfielder and CB and goalkeeper? It's a really good question there, United, Jan. A really, really good question. And I agree wholeheartedly. That there is I totally understand why people view it as, well, maybe with the goals they bring us, we should shift the focus elsewhere. And that may very well be the case. However, I like the idea of potentially completely fixing our attack in the first window, so that area is strong, so that area is operating correctly, and that area is working well. But I do agree, a deeper line midfielder, a goalkeeper, these two positions are massively important. And if the right striker isn't available, then I would move on. If the right striker isn't gettable today, then I would move on. So if we're sitting there and going, do you know what, it's going to end up being someone like a Jonathan David level, I would say, let's come back to that later in the window. Let's put the Gyökeres money. Let's go put that now into a top-class midfield player that really improves that area. And maybe let's go and look at a brand new goalkeeper who raises our level. I think both of those things are really important. I want to big up, by the way, the United Stand community that have just joined us over here. Big up yourselves. We are taking your calls if you want to phone in. We're talking about the Mbeumo bid. We're talking about what this means for our summer and the new direction that we may be able to go in from here. So big up to you all for tuning in. I appreciate it massively. We're live for the next 15, 20 minutes or so, and it's about taking your calls. That's why, we're live right now. Richard Rios is worth a look Yeah, listen, I'll take a butcher's. One thing I don't do on my platforms is if I've not heard of a player or if I don't know much about them, I will always, every single time, I know very little. A lot of people like to lie and pretend they know something. One, that's disingenuous. Secondly, and more importantly than it being disingenuous, is sometimes if you're someone that does that regularly, you then get people to tell you about fake players that don't exist, and then people sit there bullshitting. And I never wanted to go down that road in the 10 years I've done social media. I was like, do you know what? Just don't lie. Someone says, have you heard of this player called Joe Blogs? No, you tell me about him. It's one way of not getting caught out. And secondly, you don't end up looking like a pleb on these things. Big up yourself, everyone who's come over from the United stand. Love that, love that, love that. The link is pinned to our live chat. So if you want to phone in, if you want to have your say, it'd be absolutely fantastic to hear from you. We're still going to do your super chats as well. However, what I'm going to do, just for everyone who's tuned in now, I know if you've come across some other platforms, you know what's going on, but just a little bit of a recap. Man United have put in a second bid worth 60 million or in excess of 60 million. You can imagine it being very close to the 62 million in totality to Brentford for Bryan Mbeumo. Still the lead team. Player still committed to us. It's expected to finalize in the coming days. I know a lot of people are still waiting for the bomb from Ornstein. I know people are still waiting for the here we go. But what we have seen tonight is that Jacobs cracker. He's been well ahead of the game. He's been very, very accurate indeed when it comes to this transfer over the course of this summer. So credit where credit is due to him. Super chat here from Patrick. Hope you're well, Patrick. Says, I hope that getting Mbeumo done and the financial new year rolling over in a week, and that's the start of United's summer properly going. Well, look, Man United, it was always reported that Manchester United had somewhere in the region of 100 to 125 million to commit to 2 to 3 players when the season ended. Mbeumo and Cunha would be that. The combined total is around 125 million if you add all the add-ons together as well. Now, of course, United won't be paying that in a lump sum. They'll be paying that and amortizing it. But that's a totality without selling that the club were able to spend. With the new financial year just a week away, United may then, and are very likely to then start accelerating more deals. Equally, isn't just ticking into the new financial year. There is no point with them being on holiday, signing an additional 3 players, costing us 300, 400, 500,000 pounds a week for 5 weeks where they're on holiday, eating millions of pounds into our profit. For a club that is becoming thrifty, far more prudent with money, and equally a club, by the way, that has made lots of working people redundant. Imagine the ridiculousness of wasting 1.5 million pounds on salaries for players that don't need to happen yet. Unless we were at risk of losing the player to another club, there was no need in May and early June to secure all these deals as long as we are leading the race. I know a lot of us I know we all hate the Glazers. I know a lot of us dislike Ineos. We just made loads of people redundant. Why would we burn money that we don't need to? Crazy notion indeed. Terry, I can't speak. What's your thoughts on the Nkunku rubbish? I really vented on the United stand. I think there's 2 things. There is an element of truth to it. United like the player. Are we going to do a direct swap deal and lose the book value of Garnacho? Not on your Nelly. Again, this is where you can hate Ineos, but they are thrifty and prudent and financially savvy. They are not going to give up that pure profit. They're not stupid. If there's I don't think it will happen. If it does, this is the kind of deal I think it will be. United will get 30 plus million pound plus the player. It'll be that way round. And there is the potential for that maybe then to work. Maybe. But we are not going to give up the book value. Personally, I don't see it happening. There is always a chance, but I don't personally see it happening. Financially savvy, the jury's still out. No, they are financially savvy. You don't become... I did see someone on the United stand say that they're stupid how they become billionaires. We have this thing. We all do this. It's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. And it's essentially the effect of the tendency for individuals to with low competency in a particular area to kind of overestimate their abilities to be able to do it as well, i.e. grown men thinking they can beat up a bear or a gorilla. Okay, people going, I could run the country. People saying, I could run that business. People saying, how have they become billionaires? I could do it. We do that a lot. The jury's out. I agree with that comment around whether or not they can run the football club well enough to get us back to the top. In terms of making money, they're not stupid. Even the Glazers that everyone said were dumb, they're not. They bought a club for nothing and got the club to pay for the loan to buy it. And at some point, they're going to walk away and make 4, 5, 6 billion pound profit out of the club. I hate them. But the one thing you can't call them is stupid. They're very savvy with what they do. They just make you think they're stupid. They know what they're doing. They've always known what they're doing. And I've never underestimated them. They're my enemy, and I've never underestimated them. It's not defending them. It's just pointing that out. Right, let's go to some calls here. Let's go to some calls before we get to the end of the show. We've got Lou, who's coming on and joining us in just a second. Make sure it's all ready. Lou, welcome back to the show. Thank you again for calling in. Obviously, some really positive breaking news for United tonight with the deal for Mbeumo seemingly very close now. Give us your thoughts, please.
Well, first of all, it's nice to have some good news instead of just bad news after bad news after bad news. Also, it's nice to hear from Ben Jacobs because, as you say, normally people are waiting for a Bomba or for Romano, so Ben Jacobs works really hard and he comes across like a really nice chap. So it's actually nice to see him get some flowers and, get some recognition and maybe pip them to the post on this one as well. The fact that it's with good news is even better.
Absolutely. Really, really good in that regard. Celtic here says big up the Irish. That's obviously for you, not me. Obviously, the deal is very
Was it my accent that gave me away?
Probably, yeah. The accent slightly gives it away, I think, where you're from, Lou, 110%. From your perspective now, this deal feels like it will happen. It feels like it's really close. The other clubs, Arsenal and Newcastle walked away. Spurs have, according to the media now, been rejected twice, which is amazing. Well, what would you like to see the club do after this deal? What do you think should be the next focus position to get over the line?
Striker. We need a striker because what is the point? I know both of the signings that we have or that we nearly have can contribute in terms of goals. I just want a striker. I can't, and like some of my earliest memories are like the treble. Do you know what I mean? Like I grew up with the likes of Ruud van Nistelrooy, and to think of United with like just Rasmus as our striker is absolutely insane. Not only do we need one striker, we need about 3 of them, but certainly one. Get one. I don't care if he's a goal hanger. I don't care if he just sits in the box the entire time and all he does is kick the ball in the back of the net. That's okay. Just get him. I don't even care who he is. Just get him. Anybody that can score.
Yeah, we need those goal scorers, and I know there's a lot of debate and a lot of contrast in the opinions of United fans at this particular moment. I agree with you. I would like to a degree, I'd like to complete a department, and I actually think, and when I mean a department, the front three is kind of a group in this United setup. Buying 3 new players for it. Obviously, we've got Ahmad and we've got Bruno that can go in those positions. You've got Xerxes, who I think could be a very adequate backup for us. I look at that and go, actually, going into the new season, I'm really comfortable with that area. And I also get the logic of, well, actually, let's get one less attacker and a midfielder and a fullback and improve more of the team. But I feel that the Amorim and the club know we've just got to score more goals next season. And I think Man United fans will buy into what we're trying to build a lot more if we're scoring more goals, if we're being more entertaining. Yes, there might be some mistakes in midfield. Yes, you might still see some defensive issues, but I think it will bring to life more how we're trying to play. Because we weren't scoring enough goals last year, we have so many games where we were the better side on the ball, we'd end up losing and drawing. So I agree with you. I think we get the goals, we win more games, and then you can start from that foundation moving forward.
100%. And I think, like you're saying there, you can afford more mistakes when you're scoring goals. Like there was so many times where we lost narrowly, or where we lost where like a goal scorer would have made the difference between 3 points and no points, even in some of those cases, let alone 1 point. We just need someone to score. And again, I'm with you. I understand people's thinking who want maybe, to across all of the sections, improve it gradually, and then next season improve it a bit more. I'm very much like for me, the main problems last season were we didn't score enough goals and we let too many in. Get a striker, get a keeper. I mean, for me, it seems very, very straightforward. Those were the problem areas, therefore address those first. Now, I'm happy with Cunha and Mbeumo. You know, it's not like I'm saying I'll send them packing, but striker and keeper would be my priorities, because if you can score more and concede less, you're already looking at like 20, 30 points. Like, it's an enormous jump. We certainly wouldn't be in the same position next season. And actually, I'm in the boat of being impatient. I know you've been kind of saying, no, I'm chill, it's fine, it's totally fine, it's going to happen. And I'm like, no, just bloody well do it, will you? And I laugh at you because you say that you've a sales background, and I actually run my own shop. So I'd very much be from a sales background. Like, that's what I do all day, every day. And I enjoy sales when they're moving. I like it when the cogs move. I like it when excited. You know, like at the start of the season, where I think the word you used earlier was frenetic, and I thought that was a really good word. That's what I like. I like the excitement and the movement and the back and forth. And see, when like Arsenal, do you know when you're like cycling a bike and someone just sticks a stick in the middle of the wheel and everybody topples over? Arsenal's the stick and the wheel. Just get out of the way. You're blocking everything else from happening. So like that, I just wanted to keep moving. I don't care what direction, once it just keeps moving, you know, that sort of a way. So like, I enjoy the transfer window, but I enjoy it when it moves. And so I was like, even get somebody out. If we can't get them in any quicker, get them out any quicker. And then I was actually thinking, and I had a thought, and I was like, God, if Terry doesn't call in, I'll share my thought, because he'll be so excited to hear it. But do you remember we were talking before about kind of waiting for the new financial window to buy players, so not to mess with the FFP?
Yep.
That would have the same impact on your sales, because at the moment, if we're okay for FFP and then we sell a load of players this month, all that money goes into this year's FFP. So if the money in goes in now and then the money out goes out in July, you're setting yourself up for a bad start to next financial year. You want the ins and outs in the same financial year to balance itself, more or less. If you do outs now and ins, do you know what I mean?
Lou, you are beyond spot on. And again, sometimes this is about life experience for people. And I did a lot of sales jobs, and I did some that were, you could very long-winded sales. But if you hit your target, so when I worked in the bank, we used to have a phrase that was called sandbagging. So let's say for 2024, let's do 2025. I've already hit my target for the year. I had 2 big deals drop. I'm going to get my bonus. I'm loving it. Well, there's 6 months of the year left to go. I might not be able to slow all the deals down. I might have to put another one through, even though I want it for next year. But once I get to like October time, you start going, right, if I can slow down these negotiations so that this deal maybe hits in January or February, it's a brilliant start to next year. And I don't have to stress as much. Where if I close it in December, I'm getting no extra money. I'm getting no extra bonus because I've already hit my goal. I may as well save it for next year. And this goes on in all sales environments. The bank didn't always used to like it, though, because I may have hit my target, but maybe the bank hadn't hit theirs, right? So they'd want you to put it through. But the club are now in this position, as you say, where if we would have sold, say we sold Garnacho yesterday, Rashford yesterday, Casemiro yesterday, that all goes into this year's finances. Man United will want every single sale, especially the pure profit sales, to happen in next financial year. That also means there's less risk of more people losing their jobs. It enables us to spend more money going into that period. And that's my issue, where Manchester United fans frustrate me online, is I get the annoyance, I get the want and the desire to speed things along so you can have all your ducks in a row. But this isn't the same as going to Tesco's and buying a loaf of bread. This is high level, complex, multi-million pound, huge cog movements, direct, business to business sales. This is not, it's not like buying a phone from a shop, buying a pair of trainers from JD Sports. This is highly complex. And I think we have too many people completing the Dunning-Kruger effect, going, it's easy. I've played FIFA. I know how it works. You don't. You have no idea. And
what I
everything
think
you
it can
just said
be,
is
though,
perfect.
what I think it can be, though, Terry, like, I understand. So everything I've just said makes complete sense. It's what I would do. So I completely know why they're doing it. It makes complete financial sense. Up here, I know that. See if it's still another week, which it will be because it's not July for another week. I'm still going to be like, hurry up. What's taking so long? I know what's taking so long. I've just told you what's taking so long. It's still going to drive me crazy, though, even though I know what's happening.
No, I totally agree. And this is where I think there needs to be a level of, there's always going to be disparity in a fan base. There's always going to even be disparity in your own mind. I know why it's taking so long versus I want it done now.
Yeah.
However, where I think you can be a little bit more relaxed sometimes is you don't always have to end up, and I'm not going to say the CUNT word, but doing that to your club, seeing them off. Like sometimes it's like, okay, do we always have to go in with a 2-footed lunge as soon as we get a little bit annoyed? Like the Nkunku news. If that was us linked by the same journalist to a really good player, we'd go, no chance it's happening. But because we're fearful of the Nkunku deal happening, we start attacking our own club. And it's like, hang on. Let's slow down for 30 seconds here. You wouldn't believe it if he said we're going to try and get Cole Palmer. You'd go, no way we're doing that. But yet, because it's a player that you would hate to get, it has to be true. It's sometimes just, I listened to Goldbridge earlier. He was made a bit of a joke, pretending to be sick at the news, said he didn't want it. But he also then stated, I don't think this will happen, though, people. Stay relaxed. That's what I call a balanced opinion. A bit of comedy, a little bit of frustration, but then a balanced approach to what's going on. Too many people, though, will see it and go absolutely radio rental. And I think there is a time for balance here based on a lot of the things that you said. Listen, Lou, absolute pleasure to speak as always. And we'll chat again soon, okay?
Talk soon. Bye-bye.
Take care. All the best. And a lot of people asking whereabouts in Ireland. Well, she told us before she's from Dundalk. Some of you are saying Belfast. That is not a Belfast accent at all. Let's go to some more of your comments here. This came in from Darren, who says, can you see United buying any more signings before the tour? Yes, I think I still believe United will have 3 players before we go on the tour. I think we'll sign at least 3 players before that tour begins. Agree in the main with Lou, but I would expect something to be in the works before the start of July. And please, not Nkunku. The guy is made of cheese. Agree with you on Nkunku. And I hope things are in the workings as well. So what I hope to see happen, again, if we get into July, and we're suddenly 3 to 4 weeks into July and there's no movement, then I'm going to start to complain. I'm just someone that doesn't complain about things too often before they've happened. I kind of let things play out to a certain degree, especially when I don't have direct impact in it. So if I'm at work and I can see my staff are not doing what they're meant to be doing, I know it's 4 weeks of the deadline, but I can see they're not working hard enough to get it done. I'm going to jump in. But as a fan on the outside, I can't speed up what they're doing. I have no insight to what they're doing. So I think it's okay. I like this story. I hate this story. Let's stay balanced. Let's see the wood for the trees and then react to it. And if it's bad, I will condemn it with everybody else. I suppose what I'm not seeking is I told you. I'm just not seeking that. Maybe I should. It would probably go down very well for me on socials if I did that more often and I got a few things right. But there we go. But yeah, I'm not as worried as others right now. Terry, are you talking about Mark? No, not at all, because I saw Mark be very balanced on his show earlier. So he's got some things he's frustrated with, and he's got other things that he's positive about, like the Nkunku that we played it down. And I don't take his jokes seriously. As in, I laugh at them, but I don't go, oh, that's his opinion because he made a joke about it. I think it's very important to be honest about those things. It really, really is. According to reports, Arsenal have made Gyökeres a number 1 target. Yeah, I've been in that mindset for a while now. I hope it doesn't happen. But we also just need the market to speed up as well. That's another reason why it's slowed down. United have held the market up with right-sided attackers. The guys that want him have been waiting to see whether we get the deal done before moving for the Semenyos and the like of this world. This deal getting done will speed that area up. Arsenal deciding whether it's Šeško or Gyökeres will speed our pursuits up as well. All very, very important. How are people in the chat complaining about what she just said when from a financial standpoint, that made perfect sense? Well, what you'll find, Rob, is this will happen. People are still entitled to an opinion. The problem is when you present a fact, is that people still think their opinion is worth more than a fact, and it isn't. So if, for instance, United don't speed up after the financial window changes, Lou, I'm sure, will come on and condemn the club. If, for instance, we're on the 10th of July and we've got 4 signings and 3 players have left, the people that went mental for 5 weeks will not say, I got this wrong and I've changed my mind and I'll be more patient next time. They'll just celebrate the signings and join the party with the rest of us. That, for me, is my guess on the fundamental difference in the mindset that certain people have. This comment here says, Terry, how reliable is the news about Casemiro? I haven't heard of the entity and the journalist. I don't know who they are. I've shared it because I share a lot of the news that comes out. We will see. Mark here says, Terry, I love listening to how you educate people in terms of behaviors and expressions. Psychology 101. Bear in mind, I did not expect to be educated. Listen, that's never my intent. I appreciate the compliment. I never come on here going, I'm going to educate people. I might say that to some trolls as a laugh. That's never really my intention. If that's how you view it and you appreciate it, then thank you. I appreciate that compliment. No end. That means a great deal to me, my friend. It really, really does. Terry, what's the breaking news? Well, you know what the breaking news is, Twisted. I'm not going to explain it to you. You can read. You're a very intelligent man most of the time. Listen, I want to thank every single... It's only a short stream tonight. I've got to get to the gym before it shuts. I've got to. So, fair enough. We've been live 40 minutes. We're going to be back tomorrow with me and Mark. 11... I think that's 11... a.m. tomorrow. Mr. Goldbridge and I are going to be live. In fact, I'm going to set that up now, and then we can redirect you to it so you're ready. But yeah, 11 a.m. tomorrow morning. Me and Mark will be live. I don't even know exactly. I've got some great clips though that you guys have sent through. Some amazing clips. I'm very, very excited to go through tomorrow. So that's actually set up now. And what I will do, if this lets me, I will redirect you guys to it so you guys can go and like it and timestamp it and get it ready for your schedules tomorrow. But yes, Goldbridge and I are live tomorrow at 11 a.m. We've got Straight Facts in the afternoon as well. Listen, people, until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again very, very soon.